story. You ever heard Soros' interview with 60 Minutes where he says, I see myself as a god? When you hear what he says, the guy asks a question, you know, about who he views himself as. I fancied myself as some kind of a god. If truth be known, I carried some rather potent messianic fantasies with me from childhood, which I felt I had to control. Otherwise, they might get me in trouble. It is sort of a disease when you consider yourself some kind of a god, the creator of everything, but I feel comfortable about it now since I began to live it out.
In my opinion, that's the most evil thing ever said by a billionaire. Do you agree with me?
Yes, Soros sees himself like a god. It is insane to even watch this. Now going into something different, I think I put out a video about George Soros. A lot of people are now attributing it like a conspiracy theory. There's a video I'm going to show you. This guy sent this out.
I'm just so tired of all of these George Soros conspiracy theories. Now the nutcases are claiming that George Soros has funded the purchase of tents on Columbia University and other college campuses during these pro-Palestinian protests. Because, you know, the kids that paid $90,000 last year to attend college for, what, 8 months, they can't afford to buy a green tent on Five Below for $15 or on Amazon for $25. I mean, why wouldn't the Jewish Holocaust survivor who prefers Biden to Trump fund protests that hurt Biden? I mean, it makes total sense, right? I assume that the World Economic Forum and Hillary Clinton are also somehow involved in this green tent conspiracy. I'm just going to have to search X, though, to figure out how.
Yes, someone replied to this guy immediately. It is not a conspiracy theory. The Wall Street Journal, Daily Caller, New York Post, Campus Reform, Fox News, Daily Mail, EDC covers Soros' involvement in the campus protests. His organization, Open Society Foundation, is directly funding the group that are organizing them alongside Rockefeller's JR.org. His organization is also responsible for funding widespread left-wing protests in Europe and Asia. It is organizing to watch anyone carry waters for Soros and act like his Jewishness has anything to do with his action, or worse yet, defend any criticism against him as being motivated by anti-Semitism. When you take a look at this guy standing up here, I know he's a Libra, you know, to support Soro, it is insane.
You have to be pretty dumb to think that the way to bring people around to your point of view is to make them late to pick up their kids from daycare. And that's what most normies are thinking. I have a kid. I have a job. And yes, I'm sure there are injustices on both sides in the Middle East, as there are injustices all over the world. But I'm going to be late for work.
It gives you a degree of freedom. And it also gives you a degree of power.
It is always annoying when I see this with Democrats.
Investors and the hecklers are saying about Joe Biden, the label genocide Joe. Could that could support for Israel cost Democrats the election this fall?
Well, it's interesting to me that you use that term, because that's what we see at 3 o'clock in the morning outside of our house, flashing as long as this room, a sign that says that. And he has been, as I say, the force for humanitarian assistance to them. He now is calling for the ceasefire. Who's resisting the ceasefire at this point is Hamas. Remember, Hamas is a terrorist organization in our view. Hamas has in its charter the destruction of the state of Israel. So this is more complicated. In terms of your question about the election, it's in Putin's interest for to win. And therefore, I see some encouragement on the part of the Russians of some of what's going on. I trust the sincerity of many of the demonstrators. It's organic, it's spontaneous, it's real. But some of it, I think, has a Russian tinge to it. In terms of the election, people have to decide. Do you want to save the planet? Doesn't. Do you want to save your personal liberties, women's right to choose, LGBTQ? Do you want to protect the children from gun violence? Do you want to protect our Constitution, our democracy? That's really what's on the ballot in addition to those two names. So we just have to win. As I say, it's democracy is at stake. In my view, civilization as we know it today is at stake in that election, should the other side prevail. It's going to be an interesting time. We made a decision to win, and we'll make every decision in favor of winning, which means message-wise, mobilization on the ground, and money-wise in order to make that happen.
And finally, new rule. Someone needs to tell the people who block traffic in the name of a cause, no one likes you. And you're probably hurting your cause. In case you haven't seen what's going on lately, activists for ending the war in Gaza have taken to gathering on roads and bridges and stopping commuters from crossing. It happened last week in New York, and San Francisco, Chicago, Seattle. They also blocked traffic here on the 405, but no one noticed. What they did notice was this, that you have to be pretty dumb to think that the way to bring people around to your point of view is to make them late to pick up their kids from daycare. And that's what most normies are thinking. I have a kid. I have a job, and yes, I'm sure there are injustices on both sides.
This video where Nancy Pelosi was confronted, they are actually in support of what is happening. Now, she lacked answers to what is happening. The only thing is to blame Putin, then turn it and link to Trump. That is their best thing they usually do. Now going to George Soros. When you look into this article, progressive anti-Israel agitators across the country, including those who mobilize at New York City, Columbia University, are associated with groups tied to far-left groups with radical association backed by dark money and liberal mega donor George Soros, National Students for Justice in Palestine, a national organization affiliated with around 200 independent chapters, has had a vocal presence at Columbia University in recent days. At one point said it had walked away from talks with schools leaders until administrators pledged not to have them arrested or forcefully removed from their encampment on the Ivy League institution West Lawn. NSGP operates under Worcester Peace Action Committee Foundations, a fiscal sponsor whom Fox News Digital previously reported received a six-figure donation from a non-profit bankrolled by the George Soros Network, and they are now making it clear we should understand exactly what George Soros is doing. Like, he is funding all these protests happening in the country. This is something I never knew of. I'm shocked to see it is even trending everywhere on social media. I thought it is important I bring this to your attention so you can see exactly what is happening. Please, there is one thing. When you see a drop of video, I always plead, share the video. It is important. If you notice, the past few days, people are sharing out the videos, the engagement is increasing.
And people should know this, and especially try to say this to all the people in front of